Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm Jessica and I'm here with my bestie Mandy, but we're also here with Calia Read and we are so excited to have her here with us. This is gonna be fun. We're like fangirling over here, I think.
Yes, big time.
I was gonna check in on you, Mandy. I know when we meet certain authors, you just kind of stare and just kind of give the smile. So we have to keep you
I think I'll be okay. I have my right here. Oh, it's not, you can't see it. These are all my Calia Read books right here. You can't see it the way we're positioned right now, but they're there. And yours are right behind your head.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All of them that I have on the shelf anyway. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's 3 copies of The Surviving Trace up there. I think I'm good. So yeah. So yep.
Well, are we ready to jump right in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so our first question just would be, what types of books do you write and what are some of the tropes? Jessica and I can answer this for you, but we want to hear from you too.
Mm-hmm.
I love romance. I've always been in love with love. Even like for me, I remember just my first romance book accidentally was when I was 12. So but I'm like what is this,
Mm-hmm.
Why I like it. So I was like, it was a Susan Wiggs book, but I was like, after that, I was just a goner, I just loved it, That's my favorite genre, but my favorite is tropes would be, I don't know if historical romance is a trope. I think that's a genre, but I like going back in time and writing that, like the Belgrave series in general. I like that, the magic that entails. Tropes, love that push and pull and the lead up, the build up, the tension that comes before, momentous scene, sexy time, if you will. Right now I'm really into arranged marriage things. Like, I'm not going to say too much about a book I'm working on now. Something like that. I love enemies to lovers, Serene and Etienne. I like that back and forth because I can do the sarcasm. I can do that witty banter. I think those are the tropes I really like, but there's some that I just can't do. Like like a bully romance. I don't ever see myself doing because I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I told you I re-listened. So the first time I ever read the Surviving Time trilogy, I read it was before audio came. But I did a re-listen this weekend, and it's probably like my 10th time in the last 3-4 years rereading it or re-listening to it, and it still invokes all those emotions. Like, I know what's going to happen, but I'm still rooting for them, the couple, the whole time, going, how is she going to get to him? How are they going to fix this? How are they going to make this better? And I think that's like some of the magic behind that book, that series, is you have it still invokes all those emotions. And when the sexy times come around, I still get the same feelings of, oh my gosh, here we go. It's really, that is just awesome. It's just, I love that it still invokes those emotions.
It's one of my favorite. I just loved that series, and it was. I love those characters, and if I could go back in time, I want to be Serene. I've always said that, like, just to go back and just to experience that, and she's living my dream.
Plus, even though it's historical, it's not so far in the past that it's hard to find images and we can picture the place. Like, we can look up images and those kinds of things, or we've been to those areas, so we know. It makes it easier for me at least, to see it in my head.
Yep.
Yeah. So what else you got there, Mandy?
Okay. So the next question is, do you have a favorite book you've written or a favorite character?
So probably The Surviving Trace is right up there with Unravel and The 16th Need. It's like, those are my top 3. But my favorite character, Serene.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do
But
you have a favorite character, Mandy?
what?
Do you have a favorite character out of all her characters?
Oh, I would say I did really like Sable. She's I really, really liked her, but probably Serene. I loved getting to see Serene in the other Belgrave series, like when she's does the Bachelor style
Yes.
thing. I loved that, and I'm like, that is so Serene. So it's fun to see her like throughout, and like we could relate so much to her because she's from our time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the cat's name, like for us, for Mandy and I, that was, we were in school, we watched that together. We watched Friends all the time. So
Yes.
that's like a huge thing for us.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously ATN's my favorite. I love ATN and Serene in general. Just them as a couple. I've told you before, I'm so curious about Bo. Like I want so much more information about Bo. But
Oh,
yeah.
Love Bo.
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Gosh. So his book will come after the book I'm working on now. But yes, I can't wait till
Me either. I'm excited for that one.
it'll be. I can't wait.
From the minute, like when we saw him in King of the South, I was like, oh, I mean, I get who the hero is in this book, but can Bo be it now? I mean, yeah. Yeah. So, okay, next child.
Okay, so one of our subscribers, Rose, would like to know who was your inspiration for Etienne? I always say his name wrong. Sorry.
I had to use Google Translate like so many times to get his name right. um, I don't know. It was not. No one was my inspiration because I remember when I thought of the book, it was back in like 2009, and I just kept thinking about a girl in a ballroom, and she was from our time, and a guy just staring at her. And he was from obviously the past. And she was in the ballroom looking around and just watching everything. And he was staring at her with a lot of hatred, but also desire, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the person I saw had that scar, and he was Etienne. His name had changed throughout the years as I worked on the book, but there was no inspiration behind him. Like I just kept coming back to this one specific scene over and over and over. And at the beginning, it was written as Unravel. And then one of my friends had read the book, and she's like, "There's a lot going on in this one story, so you need to break it up." Um, and so Unravel and the Surviving Trace were broken apart because I just could not get rid of the Surviving Trace at all. I just loved it too much. And then once I published Unravel, then I went back to the Surviving Trace. But yeah, that short story at the end.
So originally Unravel and the Surviving Trace were all one, like we got two storylines going on.
And that's what led her to the psych ward, Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
And I time traveled. And people were like, "No, you didn't. And so you need to go." And that's what was going to be her breaking point, if you will.
Okay.
Oh.
Etienne was Max. Yeah.
Okay.
That was what the original manuscript was. So I had to make some changes.
I mean, I love that you made the changes that you made, but that makes so much sense because I love in the books when we hear about Fairfax in Serene's story, and I was like, oh, she's just adding this in just to give us that little nod for the other books, but I didn't realize that they were all one at one point.
That's why my little nod to it is that once upon a time, it really was one book, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That is so cool to know. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, mind blown.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
Okay. So the next question is, where would you recommend starting for someone who is new to your books?
Oh my gosh. Mm, either the surviving trait or the 16th need. Those would be my two. Because unravel, I think, can sometimes be depending on where you're at, like what your trigger warnings,
Mm-hmm.
Then when we talked about, I don't know who I was talking to, the Sloan brothers.
That was me.
Man,
If I could go back, Every Which Way was my first in terms of like really publishing and finishing a book. That was my first book publishing, and I wrote that one in person, third person. And if I could go back and change so much, that one I would go back and change, because it's like, oh yeah, it's like the first season of The Office. It's rough. The Sloan Brothers is completely different. It's first person, and it's a little bit tighter and better. It's second season of better.
but you had to learn, right?
Yeah. Oh, I learned a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a lot of our viewers too, and we're always telling them to read their surviving traits, and then the 16th need came along. And we're like, oh, this one too. And I think that's where most of them do start. They either start with one or the other. I actually was talking with my mother-in-law yesterday, because I sent her the surviving traits for her birthday last spring, and she hadn't read it. I mean, I sent her the physical copy, and I was like, this is my favorite. You need to read it. And she hadn't read it. And sometime around Christmas, I got a message from her saying, I'm reading it now. I don't know if I can get through it, because she has some triggers in there. They revolve around some domestic violence and that kind of stuff. And I was sitting here going, okay, so there's two scenes that come to mind where that could pop in, but I don't know where she was in the book. So I don't know which scene kind of made her go, oh, I don't know if I can finish it. And then a few weeks back, I get a message going, you brat, I just had to order the other two books because I just finished the first one. I have to know what happens. This is awesome. And so I was really impressed that my late 70s mother-in-law could love the book as much as I did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really awesome. So then yesterday we were Zooming, and I was like, guess who I get to see tomorrow? So that was kind of cute. Yeah. You got another one, Mandy? I have some too, but
So this is from Mar, and she says, hi, Calia. You've probably already answered this somewhere, but how do you approach crafting such intricate book ideas? Do you have the plot in mind going in, or just a vague idea and write as you go?
I'll have a vague idea of something, an idea of something, and then I'll just keep going. And then sometimes I'll hit a roadblock. Like with Miles' story, like surprise, Miles. There was a roadblock, and so I just stopped and I let it marinate, and I want it to be the best, hit story. I knew there was something good. There's something there. And I just let the story keep building, building, and building. And that's how I work. And I know some have to have like the plot completely constructed, outlined, but I'm like, if I do that, then I overthink things and then it's not as good. Yeah, that's how I work.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to ask one of your questions, Jessica, and then we can go back to these?
We know that you're working on Miles's book, or you have been working on Miles's book. So how many books are you planning for the Belgrave Dynasty?
Right now I want 10. I would like to have, right now we're on, Livingston, we've had Natalie, Miles. So we're having kind of like the adults, but then we're going to go into the children. And then my hope is that we'll make it into the present day eventually, but I like being in the past.
That actually, could you imagine like Etienne and Serene as in-laws? Like,
yes. Etienne, I was like, if I worked the books to where we're in the present day, then I realized that means eventually then Etienne and Serene and all these characters I know and love, they'll be dead.
No.
Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to. No. You are immortal, sir.
Yes, exactly. That's
yes.
I love these epic love stories, which I've said before. I feel like Serene and Etienne are epic. But you get these books every once in a while where the author feels the need to add like the epilogue where the characters die, and I can't do that. I have to skip it. I'm like, yes, it's probably like the Notebook dying together kind of situation, but nope.
Want to know it? Yeah. Like, there will be one time travel, but it's not serene.
Okay.
I have had that question. More time travel, but it's not going to be serene.
Oh, okay. Now I'm interested. That's where I'm intrigued.
Echoes of people had questions like, what about the old serene? And they still had questions about her. And so
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm intrigued. That's
me too.
Because it's really hard to find a really good time travel novel. And it's just really hard to find something that's not corny and weird. That at least for me, we've looked, right? Because after reading that, we're just addicted. And I'm like, okay, I gotta have something good. It's hard to find anything to compare.
Oh, I love that.
It is.
So yes, we have a video on time travel romance, and we talk about how much we love the surviving trace and how hard it has been to find anything that even comes near it.
Yeah. So
yeah. So good.
Okay.
So Mara would also like to know if you write more for like what you think readers might want to read, or do you write more for yourself?
For myself, I write what I want to read, what I would want to read as a reader, and what I also what I think I'm passionate about too, If anything that's disingenuous, the readers are going to know. Like, they're like, yeah, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if my heart is not in it and it's not something that I want to work on, they are immediately going to pick up on it and be like, this is not her. This isn't her best, So yeah, it's something, if anything that I'm writing, it's something that I want to read, or it would be something that I'm passionate about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were going to tell me yesterday, you said to remind you to tell me about Belgrave, like the original Belgrave. Tell me.
Yes.
Okay. So I loved your, background of your computer, all pictures of Belgrave. But when I used to live in Germany, I got a book of like plantations, and there was all these old plantations in the South, Louisiana, Mississippi, and one was of the ruins of a plantation called Belgrove. And I was like, oh my gosh, this one's beautiful. So I instantly went to Google and looked it up, and it was a plantation in Louisiana. And I just became obsessed. Like, I felt like I had to know more about this plantation. And the more I looked into it, I'm like, I have to incorporate this plantation. Like, I found pictures inside of it because it was burnt down back in the 1940s. And obviously I changed the name to Belgrave to what it is now, but it's just the pictures that you have I added to my Pinterest are of Belgrove. But like anytime I see the actual old photos of it, I just get chills. Like, I wish it was still up to date, but it was one of the biggest plantations in the South at its time. And then now across the street, across the road is Nottoway plantation.
Okay.
That's the ballroom inspiration I have.
Okay.
So it's like I nerd out when I see those pictures. Inspiration that I had when I wrote that book, because I love it.
Yeah. And I saw that on your Pinterest. I was looking up Belgrove because I was like, oh, this must be where she got it from.
Yeah. And there's one painting that someone did of Belgrove that you can see it in all its grandeur, like when it was really done and like manicured lawns. And I'm like, that's Belgrave. That's what it looked like. I'm like, oh my gosh. And like one lady did a photo shoot in the ruins, like when the house was destroyed. She did a photo shoot inside the house, and this is back in the I think the 40s. And you can just really see, I don't know, like I'm like, oh my gosh, just go in there and really step inside the home. And that's where I incorporated those scenes where like Serene's trying to get back to Etienne, and she breaks into Belgrave, sees the destroyed like ruins of the house. Like,
Yeah.
I really want you to feel like you were in that moment.
Mm-hmm. And you can see, like, now that you're saying that too, like certain elements in the book of her fighting to keep the house, because they tore it down, right? The original.
A fire.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to ask exactly what happened to actual Belgrave. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely felt it. I cried throughout the entire second book.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I'm an ice queen. I had anxiety throughout the second book, but
it takes a lot. I'm an ice queen too. I'm like, it takes a lot to make me cry. Like, it takes a lot. I'm like, I think The Child Called It made me cry. That's one book that made me cry, man.
Mm-hmm. Transcendence by Shea Savage made me cry at the very end. But, you know, if you've read it, you kind of know what happens at the end. So that there's reasons for that. But it's just, there has to be like a child involved. There has to be a lot to get me to cry.
well, book 2 did it for me.
Like, that's my
book 2 for me was just those feelings that I love to have in books, that angsty, how are they going to fix this? What the hell did he just do? Feelings.
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of wanted to beat Livingston a little bit too.
I know, like, you asshole.
Yeah, exactly. What were you doing? So yeah. What else do you have there, Mandy?
Okay, so Lindsay would like to know, I guess this is kind of like your favorite book, but she's asking, is there a book or series that you are most proud of?
I love The Striving Trace, but I think the series I'm most proud of would be the Fairfax series, because that one is psychological, and those are the hardest, like the thrillers, the inner workings of those are really hard to work on, and to put yourself, like, you're in like the shoes of the characters, and sometimes those can be darker. And so those, I'm very proud of the Fairfax series, and I'm proud of Figure Eight, because that's one of my books that I feel like people either love or they hate. They don't like the ending. But I feel like that also shows the inner workings of the mind. Those are my two books, or series and book, that I'm most proud of.
I read both the Fairfax books before I read Figure Eight. I just read Figure Eight a few weeks ago. And so I already knew how well you can like weave your suspense and your twists and turns that you don't see coming. So I was really trying to figure out Figure Eight as I was reading it, and nope, no luck. But I just loved all like the Dateline feels to it. It was, oh, I really enjoyed that book.
The way I love Keith Morrison, my gosh, hold he has on my life. I'm like, I could his voice.
Yes.
So do you plan to write any more in the Fairfax world?
So I could see one more, and it would be Reagan's story.
Mm.
Yes, definitely. She was twisted and messed up, and I just loved her, and I thought she had a really good story. And I want to do another psychological suspense book around a Jane Doe. Yes.
Oh.
Love more than, like, I loved genealogy. Like, that was kind of intermersed with in the Surviving Trace.
Yeah.
Oh, love that stuff. But how that works in Jane Doe's, how they do genealogy and genealogy, figuring all that out. But the book I'm working on, I've been working a little bit on this one book, just writing here and there. It's just a psychological suspense one. And yes, I'm really excited about that one, how twisty and suspenseful it is.
Okay.
You write that so well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Next.
Do you have one?
I just asked mine, but I can ask
Okay.
another one. I mean,
Okay. I still have more if you want me to keep going.
oh no, I've got okay.
Okay.
And is there any reason why you chose Charleston for Belgrave?
I love Charleston. It's always been a place I've wanted to visit so badly. So badly.
We've flown in there. My mother-in-law and father-in-law live in like outside of Myrtle Beach. But I've never we flew in there with a newborn basically, so we were just trying to get to the in-laws house. We didn't hang out there. But after reading all of these books in the series, I was like, I think we need to go to South Carolina and just hang out and do all the fun things and see these old places that are talked about, but haven't done it yet.
It'd be my dream just to like walk the streets that I've written about and just just experience it.
Yeah, right by the water. What do they call the place by the water?
Battery?
The Battery. Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Let's just do it in the wintertime and not in the summer because I couldn't handle that. What else do you got, Mandy?
Okay, so you've kind of hinted a little bit about some different books that you're working on. Can you share anything about like an anticipated book of when it might be out, or is everything just still kind of in the works?
So with Miles, that's one I'm heavily focused on right now. Because I kind of took a little break. I was, burnout's real.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. A break, and then that helped a lot. And so coming back to his story, I was renewed and just, working on it now. I think I know the thing with release dates. I always have this fear of like release date, and then I don't follow through. Then I don't want to disappoint anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Have a set release date in mind. I think I know when it's going to be, and yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, but you also said you were working on audio for the 16th Need, right?
That one should be released very soon, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know who the narrators are?
Yes, those were picked out a while ago. There were, I don't know their names, but they're pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the other audios you've had have been good, so I'm not worried about that. But I was just curious if you remembered who.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then are there any other audios that you have in the works?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
Hopefully for the rest of the Belgraves, there'll be audios for those.
Yeah, those are good. And I liked the way like Mason Lloyd did the first 3. He did such a good job with his accent.
So I can't listen to my books be read back because I just start self-editing. But I did listen to a bit of the 16th, not 16th, the Surviving Grace and King of the South. And so I did listen to like a first chapter. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they did really good.
They did. They did. And you have to like give the guy kudos because he narrates all of Ruby Dixon's Ice Planet Barbarians, right? And so so normally when I hear his voice, I'm like, oh, we're back with the aliens. But when I listen to him in The Surviving Trace, that is ATN. Like that is him. That's ATN. And I don't think, oh, I'm with my blue aliens. So that's pretty big. Because anytime I hear him in other books, I'm like, oh, it's the blue alien guy. But I don't when I'm here. But he has the accent. It works.
Yeah, he did really good.
He did good. Yes. Yeah. So what else you got, Mandy?
Okay, so this is just like, what do you like to do in your free time when you're not busy writing?
I'm a very I'm a very boring person. To read so much. Well, I have 5 kids, so I'm busy with them a lot of the time. I have free time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm either cleaning up and then getting free time to write and read, and then it's like you look at the time, it's time to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I like sounds really nerdy. I like genealogy a lot.
Yeah.
Thing that I'm really, really into. I love it so much.
I do that sometimes. That comes in waves.
Yeah, exactly. It's like these little bursts. I'm like, okay, I'll put you on pause again. We'll see in like.
Exactly. That's exactly what I do with it. I was all excited when I did ours, and my grandma didn't really know much about where her family came from. And I'm like, Grandma, you're where the Scottish and the Irish come from for both of us. Like that was, and at the time we were doing Scottish Highland dance. So my girls were so excited to hear that. We actually had some Irish, we belonged to this certain clan. Like that was really fun when we did that. So I get it. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then your kids, what age range are they? Are they littles or are they kind of a mix of all of them? Like,
oh man, I'm like Serena. I was just popping them out for a while.
Me too.
I have a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, and did I live? And a 7-year-old.
That last one, they're always hard.
Whoa, there you are. And then we're done.
Yeah, that's a good range. Yeah, because mine were boom boom, and then we had a tiny break, and then boom. So I get that.
Yeah. You're like, where'd you come from?
Exactly. Actually, that was me begging the husband, can I have another one? Because the other two were really colicky, and they're one right after the other, and I don't remember a lot. Can we just have one to enjoy now? Yeah, that was what I said. So we got the third.
Oh, gosh.
Okay,
Jessica, are you done with your questions?
I think that the question that I have, I think I've asked mine except for one, but I'm pretty sure mine is going to be one that you have.
Well, the next question on my list is, will we see you at any author signings?
Gosh, I've been asked before, several times, but I get so nervous. I have this fear of being at a table, being at my author table, and then no one coming up to my table. So like a loser.
Oh.
Like, if you go to an author signing, we'll make sure that we're there. So you have at least us hanging out all day with you.
Yes.
And then people being like, who's this person? And like, it's like my deepest fear. And then so it's like, I've never done an author signing, and I've been publishing how many years? Since 2012. So yeah, it's like, I feel like I have so much anxiety. Just, yeah. But I want to do one in the future. I need to get over it, my fear of it.
Well, if you decide to do one, you just need to tell us, and we'll make sure we're there, and we will make sure people are at your table. I don't think you have anything to worry about, though. Your books speak for themselves. Like, I think you would be very surprised at how many people would want to come and line up at your table.
And even like in the Facebook groups that they have where people are doing pre-orders, we would be in there cheerleading, being like, if you don't order this book,
yes,
you're missing out. So have you ever thought about doing like a special edition kind of thing for Surviving Trace or anything?
Absolutely. To do a special edition hardback for I would love to. So I'm sure.
Okay, because I need a fourth copy, apparently. So, priorities, I need that. Like, I need breath. So,
and another thing I'm like, my like tick is that its format is the old format to match the cover. And I'm like, oh, I need to have it formatted on the inside to match the new cover. So I'm like, it needs to get completely reformatted and all spruced up. So yes, I do a special edition because it's been out since 2018, which I cannot believe. But yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be the first one to sign up for that. So you just let me know when that happens too.
Oh, what are some of your favorite authors and favorite books?
Oh my gosh. Paulina Simmons is my favorite author. She wrote The Bronze Horseman, but that's what she's like most known for. But I love Tully. I love The Children of Liberty, and oh, she just is one of those writers that she'll make your hair turn gray, like, and she's just such an artful, amazing writer. Like, it's one of those writers that I wish I could write as, just so masterfully and just so amazing. Oh, I just love her. And then another one is Jennifer Donnelly, and then one of my favorites is On Jellicoe Road. It's one of those books. It's a YA book. Well, I think it's YA. I read it a long time ago. It, like, literally, the book starts in the middle of a scene. So you're like, what is happening? Like, it just really just takes you one place and drops you right into the scene. You're like, I don't know about this, but it's such a good book. Such a good book. Yes. And so I just love those books that really make you think. But another book that I really like, I love my historical romance books. So I love Brenda Joyce. She's a really good historical romance writer. One of her books of hers that I like is like A Lady at Last. Oh, it was like a pirate romance book.
You're writing these down, right, Mandy?
I am.
Good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, those are some of my favorites, because it's like I don't ever go back and reread a book, but I'll go back and reread scenes.
Okay.
I'm like, oh yeah, page 92. This is where it gets good. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's.
I get that. I do. So one thing that I forgot to ask too is, so when you get negative comments, do you read them? And if you do, like, how do you deal with them?
I don't get negative comments, but I don't read reviews.
Okay, reviews. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Because when I first started out, I was so naive. I thought everyone's gonna just love it. It's gonna be great. No. And then it really upset me. Like, I would never reply, but I would just be really upset. And my husband would be like, you can't do this. And then when Unravel came out, that was my first book that did well. And then people would say some really, and then it would hurt me. I would take it personally, and it started to, like, mess with my mind,
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I just would have through things. Like, he'd be like, oh, this review is good. You can look at, like, I'll read it. I just stopped reading anything. Yeah. Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah. That's what I would have to do too. I wouldn't, there's no way I could sit and read some of the things.
Exactly. Because I'm like, I'm not going to put myself through it.
No.
Yeah.
No. I get it.
I can only imagine how that would feel as an author, because one of our author friends has a YA book out, and one of the reviews was marked it down and said, well, I don't really want to be reading about teenagers, but it's marketed as a YA book. And I was like upset for her, and I'm like, I want to have a conversation with this person. So I can only imagine how an author would feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're like, oh, it's just, yeah, you I don't know if I've ever wanted to say anything, because when in the confrontation, I'm one of those people that gets so emotional, I start to cry. I'm that person. So I'm like, I usually will back off, but I've had my sister be like, well, I'll say something. I'm like, you cannot say anything.
Yeah, I know. There's been times I want to say things, and Mandy's like, we're not bringing in drama. Stop. No. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I get really heated in the moment that I call her and be like, I can't believe they said this about one of our favorite books or an author that we like. And then, she'll talk me down.
Yeah. Like, okay, fine. What do you want to eat?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so let me tell you about the book I'm reading. So, yeah, change the subject. Yeah. Been good like that. So, yeah. So, Is there anything else we need to cover, Mandy, do you think?
I just have our closing question left.
Okay.
Oh, I'll say something.
Yes.
One thing I loved about you guys is you guys, when I watched one of your guys' videos, one of the first videos I watched of you guys, is immediately you guys said my name right. And I was like, even when my kids were listening, they're like, wait, Mom, they said your name right. Like, yeah, I know, right? And I was like, yeah. how do they do that? Because I'm so used to people saying, you know, Calia or Calia, and I'll
Yeah. So don't go watch our older videos then. So how did that happen, Mandy? That was you.
Yes. So last year, maybe right around this time, or maybe it was a little bit closer to, it was when the 16th need was coming out and you were going to go live on, I think it was Instagram, and you were having technical difficulties, but I was tuned in ready to watch and you said your name and then it cut out. And I called Jessica and I'm like, I'm getting ready to watch this. And apparently it's Calla. So we changed from that point forward.
Yeah. Because we had said Calia for a long time.
that man. My mom, she saw my name in a soap opera and loved it, but she wanted to like mindfuck people and be like, we're gonna put that.
Yeah. So that took us a minute to figure out, but once we did, we were like, okay, now we know it. And I remember that too. It was a TikTok that I had done, and you were like, "You said my name right," and I was like, "Look, Mandy, we did it right."
Warmed my heart because I'm like, right.
Yes, I think it's important. We try with authors because some of them have some interesting names. So, and as Mandy has said a million times, phonetic awareness is not her friend. So
No, it's not. But I can get your name. I've got it.
you did, which is awesome. So yeah, that's just been, that was really cool. I like that she figured that out because then we could, make sure we had it right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, I'm like, it's like California without the fornia. And then my one friend's like, well, it's like Calla Lily, without the lily. I'm like, you made
it.
All right. So our last question would just be, what is the best way for readers to stay connected with you?
Well, I've been MIA for a while. But Instagram, I'm always lurking on there. So I'll try to reply to any messages on there, but I'll be coming back.
Yeah. Well, I know like last night when I messaged you, it was like 10 o'clock here. And Mandy's like, I'm sure she's in bed. And I'm like, I'm just going to message her. And just might because we punched you earlier. And you responded like 2 hours later. It was like midnight here. I was like going, good gravy. It's going to be 3 a.m. there. So apparently you don't sleep either. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. This has been so much fun.
Thank you.
When we started our channel and we were like, we want to do author interviews once we hit our 1,000 mark. Yours was the first name. Yours and one other were like the first names that came up that we were like, it would just be awesome to have her on the channel. I don't know if we could do that, but I love that we've been able to communicate enough and have that relationship where we can get you on the channel. I think it's just been so awesome.
Yes.
It's an honor.
Well, it's an honor for us.
Oh, yeah. You have no idea. We've been so excited about this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So thanks again for being here. And thanks to everybody who's watched. Mandy, what do you want to tell them?
Well, make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
Thanks again, guys. We'll see you in the next video.